What up, everybody? We live right now. No Request TV. We are live on No Request TV right now. We're interviewing DJ Jamad this afternoon. This is, I think, our fourth interview this week. So we're excited to have Jamad. We're going to bring him in right now. I'm going to bring some people into the room, too. If y'all can hear me, give me a thumbs up one time. Jamad.
What's up, DiBiase?
Good morning, brother. How you doing?
Man, I feel wonderful, man. Fantastic.
How's your quarantine going?
Oh, man, everything's good.
Everything's good with you. That's what's up, man. So we're live here with DJ Jamad. If you were just on my live on my IG, just to give a little background, Jamad is a DJ out of Atlanta, Georgia, by way of Philly. This is our second Philly DJ we've had on the show this week. Our fourth Philly DJ we've had on No Request TV, period. But Jamad, he's going to tell his story, you know, talk about Afromentals, talk about his Aphilliates days, talk about, you know, his life and some of his beliefs and, you know, how he's feeling right now with everything going on in the world. So, you know, just to give a little background, Jamad, you know, I like to always ask the DJs, when you were a child, Saturday morning, time to clean up the house, what was mama playing, what was pops playing in the crib, just to give an idea where your music knowledge comes from.
So basically, I grew up in Allentown, Pennsylvania, which is about 45 minutes from Philly. It's about an hour and 15 minutes from New York City. So it's in the valley. It's the Tri-City area, Bethlehem, like Bethlehem Steel. It's industrial, basically towns, Allentown and Easton, just like a Tri-City area. So it's surrounded by mountains. So I grew up there until I was, I might have moved around all those different cities until I was 18. Then I migrated down south to Atlanta to move for with intentions to go to Morehouse. So my family basically relocated for work. So, so going back to the music aspect, I grew up, I wouldn't say I was around, and no one was really a musician. It was, you know, 45 records. You have the little record player with the auto loader that you put the records on top.
Right.
Basically being in the environment of being close to Philly. Of course, my aunts, uncles lived in Philly. We would go to Philly all the time. New York City, family there. We go there all the time. So you can't help but to be exposed by the music, by listening to the radio. Of course, you have WDAS, Power 99. In New York City, you got Kiss FM, KTU 92, and all this other stuff, you know, you're exposed to. Mr. Magic, you know, WBLS and all this other stuff.
Right.
So the thing is, I grew up basically, I would say the majority of Allentown, Bethlehem was mostly Puerto Rican, honestly. It was more Puerto Rican. More Puerto Rican than. So I grew up more like in a melting pot of different ethnic groups when it came to Polish, German. We weren't really around Amish people. That's a little further out. They're more isolated. You know, people always think, oh, Amish, no, they're further out. They're more isolated in the country and stuff like that. When it came to, it was mostly predominantly white, but more like ethnic, like I said, German, you know, Italian, you know, all that stuff. So, because this is the industrial, this is impact from the industrial age.
Right.
So all live close to each other, row home style, and you basically have all the factories. Everyone's doing like factory work and stuff like that.
Right.
So what really influenced me is the cultures, because of course we would be around a lot. Most of my friends were either Puerto Rican or Caribbean. And then a lot of my influences were going to be the music that was on the radio. So I'd say when hip hop started, you're talking about 1979, when you hear Rapper's Delight. I was pretty much listening to my uncle's records. I would say my uncle was a big influence on music, and my stepfather because he had like a Bose system with a lot of records. He had high end, he was an audiophile, so he had a really nice collection. And then my uncle also had a lot of nice equipment that he wouldn't really let me touch, but I would always go through the records and look at the jackets and stuff like that. Bootsy Collins, Ted Nugent, he was diverse, a lot of diverse. So, but the impact of what really made me get into, like, of course, was the hip hop era, where you would hear Power 99. They had Street Beat, which was on Sundays, and that was timed around 1 o'clock, of course. So we would be at church, and as soon as I got home from church, I would start recording off the radio, tape cassette. So I would rush home to record. That was just, everyone did this. My uncle, my friends, we all were like ear to the street. It was like the biggest thing going. So that would pretty much have me becoming cultured in the different sounds and styles, because you had a lot of the Mantronics. That was mostly like a Latino kind of like influence sound when it came to 808s, and of course the break dancing and stuff like that. A lot of the breakers were the Puerto Ricans. Mostly those were the break dancers, where the black guys were mostly doing the popping and stuff like that, and more the boogaloo and all that stuff. So I don't know, it's just diverse. Growing up in it, you don't really think of it until you like come to the South, like, hey, where the Latinos at? Where the Puerto at? Like, where they at? It's not the same. They realize, oh, it's like a culture shock, So, but a lot of things growing up in that region, it was just like a melting pot, and you were just around all of it. And that's kind of like what influenced my style as far as being a DJ.
Okay, so, you definitely gave some knowledge right there, as far as I didn't know about the Spanish influence and or Latin influence in Allentown specifically, you know what I mean? But if you're just now tuning in, we're live with DJ Jamad on No Request TV. This full interview will be on our YouTube page. Just hit the link in the No Request TV bio, subscribe. And if you have a question for Jamad, leave a comment right now. We're going to be with him here for a while. So if you got any questions for Jamad that you would want answered, just go ahead and leave a comment right now. So the Cognito in here, DJ Kerosene. So what was your first, when did you first notice DJing, like this is something that you wanted to do? When was the first time that you got introduced to DJing?
My best friend from high school, we used to work at a movie theater, AMC movie theater, right? And something inside me said, man, you working these summer jobs, you need to go ahead and buy some equipment. And me and him went in half. It was funny, it's because me and him went half on a turntable each.
A turntable.
We bought a set of, it was like stolen turntables, right? They were hot. So we bought them. And then when I graduated high school, when we both graduated, he moved to Chicago, back to Chicago where he's from, and then I moved to Atlanta. So we were like, hey, what are we going to do with the turntable? Because we had bought them that summer before we finished school, while we were working.
Right.
Because we were like, we were just buying a bunch of equipment, speakers, all this stuff, working summer jobs, save up for equipment. So then he's like, man, you go ahead and take it, man. So I had a mismatched set of turntables, a realistic Radio Shack mixer, and some speakers that I bought online for some shop in an amp, like an amp, or it would be more like a tuner amp that I used just to get some sound, into the speakers. So that's kind of like where I started. I was 18. And a lot of that was basically inspired by listening to the radio mixes all the time. For the most part, I just had a Walkman. Headphones, like you see everybody walking around with, a cell phone with earbuds. Basically, that's all I did in high school. Is when I went to school, I got on the bus, and of course, I made my little pause mixes. You record stuff from the record to a cassette, and I would just always analyze and listen to the songs every day. And I just basically stayed. Me and him, he was an illustrator. He made comics. He he worked for the school newspaper, and so that's why my whole concept of what I do is always illustration art and music, is because I've always it's basically the blueprint. It's always been the blueprint.
Right. So that's interesting. So that's like the original Afromentals tapes, were those pause tapes that you were going to school with, pretty much. Because if you know anything about Jamad, it's not just the audio enjoyment that you're getting through the mixes. You know, to me, the best covers, as far as any mixtapes or anything like that, original mixtape covers that you're going to see. I've always wanted to do a art show with Jamad and just have big blown up photos of the mixtape covers, because the mixtape covers are a piece of work in their own right. Because we all know the first thing that before you even put a mixtape on, you're going to be attracted to it by how it looks visually.
That's right. That's right.
And through your visuals, without even seeing what the track listing is, you can tell what is going to be on the tape, whether it be a natural black woman on there or some type of, you know, one of my favorite is the girl bending over, opening up the oven, and all the instruments and the music is coming out of there. You know, shout out to Double. I think we back right now. We're having some Teddy Riley technical difficulties right now. I'm gonna get Jamad way back in here so we can pick up where we left off. If you're just not coming in right now, or Jamad, if you're still in here, go ahead and request back into the live so that we can get you back in here. You had a pause issue. There we go. We got Jamad coming back. We're live here with No Request TV. Shout out all the DJs that's in here. If you have any questions for Jamad, just go ahead and leave them in the comments. Yeah, if you get any phone calls, just end those phone calls so we can stay here live and locked in with you. All right?
Yeah. So
okay.
you're talking about the artwork,
right?
Got cut off.
Yeah. So as far as the artwork goes, you know, we were talking about just, you know, your friend that was into comics. That was the inspiration to really have the mutual connection between the artwork and the visuals through your mixtapes. But before we get to the mixtapes, you know, so you do high school. After high school, do you just start DJing off the rip? Do you go to college? What happens?
So basically, when I first moved here, I was 18. I started working at like fast food spot. One spot was called JD Ritzy. And then I worked at Fuddruckers.
Oh, wow.
And I worked at this ice cream spot called Gorns, where I became assistant manager. So, but it was work, and then I'll go home and mix. So it was all about, I didn't DJ anywhere. It was just work, buy records, buy equipment, and mix. It wasn't even no mixtape. It was mostly like straight one takes, you know, tape cassette, straight mixing straight to tape cassette. I did a couple slow jam mixtapes where I would kind of pause and then set things up and then mix, but it was like straight one track tape cassette. I didn't get into multi-tracking until I say 1996. That's when my barber from Fadeologist, he sold me a track machine, multi-track, a Tascam multi-track recorder. And that's when I started getting more into practicing doing mixes.
Okay.
Yeah. But my first gigs were really in the military.
Okay, so you were in the military?
Yeah, I did some party. I did like a going away party when I went to the military. My mom had a little thing. And I set up my equipment and DJ and stuff like that. You know, you basically have to overcome like this, you know, this anxiety and fear, and you're worried about what people think about you, and just do it, you know.
Right.
So, and then you just in the military, that's when I started DJing with blowing speakers, blowing out equipment, stuff that wasn't hooked up right, didn't sound good, sound crappy. And then I started DJing every weekend, where I worked for this guy that had a mobile company, a sound company, and he had bases all around Germany. So I DJed all around. Every weekend I was DJing a different base somewhere in Germany. So I drive maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, depending on what it is, and it would just DJ maybe Friday and Saturday night, and then come back to where I was stationed at Ramstein. And I would do that every weekend. So I was making way more money than being in the military. I was making money already, like just DJing.
Oh, that's what's up.
So it was good. It's good money too, because when you get contracts,
Right.
you seeing crazy money. You're making
Right.
off when you DJing, you know, for the NCO club.
That's what's up. So, you really got your roots just DJing in Germany and doing those parties and everything like that. So, what was your return back to America like post-military?
So when I came back, it was kind of like, wow, I'm a civilian again. I started going to college for pre-hygiene, because I was a dental assistant in the military. So I started going to hygiene school. It was just a rude awakening. It's because like, wow, it's like, you know, when you're going to school in the military, they're very lenient, you know. Hey, I can't make it. I gotta, you know, I got duty, whatever. So they're like lenient. Oh, it's fine, you know. It basically kind of like you kind of like skate through like school in the military. But when you're out, it's like, okay, I was getting unemployment. I was getting unemployment benefits, and then I was going to school. I was using my GI Bill, and then trying to go get a DJ job. It's just really connected. It's all politics. It's all political. I couldn't find a gig. You know, I started working at this place called Club Echelon in Marietta. It was so political. Like, you know, I was so used to DJing the Ezio Club playing the way I did then. But then when you come back, it's like, oh, okay, these people are programmed by the radio. I can't do what I do in the military. I gotta like play that game. So then I was like, I didn't like it.
Right.
And that's what encouraged me to be like, I'm gonna volunteer. And I did mostly weddings, but I'm gonna volunteer. I'm gonna get my name out here. So basically, I'm gonna start doing gigs for free just to show people what I can do to get my foot in the door. And then that's how I got into doing like the clubs, bar scene, and Buckhead. That's how I started doing the mixtapes. That's how I started doing so I started focusing more on myself, what I wanted to do. So that was my strategy to approach it, where be yourself.
Right. So, have you always had that attitude? Because, you know, at the same time, when you're trying to, you know, make a living, make some money, DJing, it's you come across that crossroads where you have to compromise yourself as far as, you know, whether it be what kind of music you like or whoever the client is. Did you always have a stance where you wouldn't compromise what your taste was in order to get a job DJing at this club or whatever the case may be? Have you always stood firm on that?
So no, well, I kind of, well, when you're a father, because, you know, my daughter was born when I was 19.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one of the reasons, one of the deciding factors why I went in the military.
Mm-hmm.
I went in the military because my mom came to me with the, you know, hey, these are the choice you have. You go to school full time, and I'll help you with school. If you work, you're going to get your own place and live on your own.
Mm-hmm.
If you, or you go in the military. So like that, military sounded like the best option for me, because I want to see the world. I wanted to travel. I didn't really like Atlanta at the time. I hated it. I hated it here. To go from an environment where you're close to everyone, you're used to being like, hey, I got transit. I can walk. I can ride my bike. I can get around. To come here where you needed a car, real cliquish. Everyone knows each other based on high schools they went to. School. I didn't. He's being a gang. He's being a gang. So it's like, I was cool with him.
Right.
So I never, ever compromise who I am. It was always a thing where it's like I had to leverage. And that's why Afromentals became the way it was, because I use things to leverage using my creativity to get what I need to get. So it's like, hey, I'm running back, I want to get in the end zone. A lot of times you do an unconventional play just to get in the end zone, whatever it is to get the score, you know, to win the game. So a lot of times that was my strategy to do anything. It's like, hey, I got to know what I'm up against. I'm going to find a way. So because when you're a parent, a lot of times you don't have as much flexibility because, hey, I need to pay that child support. I need to make sure I'm there for my child and stuff like that. So, but once my children were grown, that compromising shit went out the door. I'm like, I'm not compromised for shit now because I don't have no threats. I don't have, it's like I filed bankruptcy. I don't have to do that. I don't have a baby mama drama. I don't have to answer to the state. I don't have, now it's like, fuck you. Excuse my French, but this is what all creatives must think about first. When you're a creative person, it has to be about you writing your own script. It's your scriptures. It's not somebody else's book. It's your book. It's your game. It's really everything that's happening to you is what you create. I created having a child out of wedlock. That was me. I had to deal with that. I had to answer to that. So I had to fix my own philosophy, faulty, you know, whatever it is me. I need to fix that. So when it comes to creating now, I started to realize that I don't have to play. I don't want to do weddings. I don't want to play that music. I don't want to do that. And not compromising anymore. Now it's about complimenting who you are. Because now when you do things, you start to attract the people based on the energy you put out. You don't have to like fight. You don't have, like, I don't have to fake like playing trap music. Cause you remember when I used to come to you and ask you, hey, DiBiase, man, I need a crate. Cause I don't want to look stupid. But then I'm like, Jamad, why don't you stop doing those gigs? Because let DiBiase do those gigs. He's good at those gigs. Hey, DiBiase, can you do this gig, man? Because I can't do it. Pass it on to the next person. Stop doing things that are actually compromising yourself and let the people that are good at that stuff, let them do it. And you know, Cognito, if he's still on here, he always tell me that. Cognito always be hitting me there. But they don't really know what's going on in our personal life at the time. Like, hey, man, you know, I got this baby mama stuff going on. I got all this other stuff. I was like, I'm concerned about my daughter being a father and all that. I was so caught up in all that what I actually created for most people was out of a means to be free. The mixtapes were my freedom. So that's why I had so much, and plus the artists that helped, and plus especially with Justin Huff. Justin did a lot of stuff for all of us, you know what I mean? Because he was helping all of us.
Everybody, yeah.
Because that was also his outlet. So he added value to me by helping me. So anytime he asked, hey, I got this concept, you want to do the mix? I would do it. I never had to think twice. It's because this person already was basically had resources. He worked at a graphics company. He did the marketing. He was throwing the parties. It was like, it was so easy.
Right.
But that's what all you have to do is really align yourself based on your vision of who you are and who you really want to become. And that's really, I don't believe in that compromise. I just think you have relationships, you should compliment one another. That's when you have friends, it's a complimentary exchange going on. You know, you're not trying to make them into something else. You know, that's like a social construct. I don't follow that no more. I don't have to. Because one day I'm gonna die. I'm like, I want to die happy. I want to die with no resentment. Like, I don't want to leave here with no resentments.
No doubt. You know, if you're just now joining us here on No Request TV, we're talking with DJ Jamad. We're talking a lot about life right now. We're talking about a little bit of DJing, but a lot about life. So if you have any questions for Jamad, he's definitely dropping some gems. Shout out to all the DJs that are in here on the chat right now. Shout out to Deliver, DJ Kerosene, Boogie Love. Anybody that has any questions for Jamad, just get in the comments right now. This full interview will be on No Request TV's YouTube page. Hit the link in our bio to check it out. It should be out probably by next week. So going back to saying your mixtapes were your release for you to get your creativity out. We're going to talk about the Afromentals mixtape series. How did you come up with the name Afromentals?
So I guess I've had this, I wouldn't say it's an infatuation. I just have an appreciation for like natural hair. It's just symbolic of just nature itself. Just to see the hair grow, and it grows like in this circular kind of pattern. It's like that's like a halo aspect of what you see behind, like, you know, these deities and stuff like that. And a lot of moms and uncles in the 70s, they all had afros, man, giant afros. I was like, man, I like that style, man. I love it. It's attractive. Right. So that was the picture of me and my mom. She had natural afro, and then my hair was kind of like an afro style too. Right. So it was that picture that determined the term that I want to use, afro. The mental aspect is always, I'm always learning. I always seek to learn and have this inner knowing. Because whatever, something like Malcolm X, I was always into Malcolm X. You know, I had the glasses in the military. I was the pro-black dude, always in the military, and I still am pretty much. Mm-hmm. But it's a thing where it's like I always want to increase my knowledge and grow as a person. So the mental aspect is always, everything's mental to me. Everything's mental. So the Afromental, like, I was writing on a notepad and just writing everything down, see how, and then they're like, man, that's got a ring to it. That's it. Yeah. So then I came out with the first volume, and then H2O did the cover, and he even put on there like Jill Scott, you know, Bilal, blah blah blah. I didn't tell him to do that. So I'm like, okay, you know, we'll roll with the soul, because that was popular at the time. The soul vibe was
right. Neo soul.
The neo soul, yeah.
Mm-hmm. So from those mixtapes, you know, what year did Afromentals, the first Afromentals, come out?
That was 2000.
Okay, so 20 years ago. 20 years ago, when you put out a mixtape, you couldn't just upload it to SoundCloud or Mixcloud or link in my bio. You actually, if you wanted people to listen to it, you have to actually go out, get it pressed up, distribute it, press it, you know, promote it, whatever the case may be. What was the process? Because I talked about this on my live before, you know, we came over here to Nova Quest. You know, a lot of the times mixtapes, you know, they're pushed in the streets. So a lot of the times they have street music on it. You know, this is for the guys that are, you know, riding around in their Chevys or whatever, especially we talk about Atlanta. How did you promote a Afro Neo Soul mixtape in that climate of 2000, you know, where everything was party, trapped out, whatever the case may be?
So what I first started doing was, I knew how, initially I tried to do cassettes. Mm-hmm. When I was experimenting with the track recorder, I did a couple cassettes. I just didn't like it. So I was like, and this is when CD technology started really coming out with the duplicators and stuff like that. Real expensive. Invested in like a $2,000 burner, microboards burner with, it even has a hard drive in it. I still use it to this day to make masters. Mm. So I was like, I'm going to go to CD route, and then I would talk to DJ Drama and, you know, see how he was doing it. Is because, of course, he was doing it like pretty big, you know, with prior Gangsta Gills, he was doing like automatic relaxation. Mm. So he already had like a soul compilation that was out with a couple other DJs that had stuff that would sell at like Fat Beats. Because when I met Cognito, he was the one that also helped me, like, hey, this is what you got to do to put the CD in the store. So basically, it was a lot of it, and even Jazz at Earwax. I had to basically go around and ask everyone, how do you do this, you know? So it was a consignment type of thing where you make your mix, you put it on consignment, but a lot of it also was me just making mixes, just giving them out. Mm-hmm. So if you get a spin over 100 CD, you're like, well, initially I just took a Sharpie and wrote my name on the CD and just gave it out. Because whenever you're doing a gig, say I'm doing a wedding, and I want these people to get an example, you know, of what I do. Like, hey, here's what I do. Here's an example. Check it out. So that's how you get return business. So it's really just a matter of always promoting, always investing in yourself, always promoting yourself, pretty much. I mean, it's always about branding. Right. So a lot of getting it out here kind of evolved, because then people would approach me and like, oh man, I heard this mix, blah, 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 because they would go to Tape Masters and over there in the flea market down in the underground. And so I started getting clients So
Right.
basically, it's like drug dealing, kind of like, you know what I mean? It's the whole thing. And you're basically you're just distribution. You're basically doing it like on a grassroots level,
Mm-hmm.
and then people start calling you. You put your number on. I put my number, you know, on the end of the CD. I'd say something, give shout outs and stuff like that. And then next thing you know, everything just started moving. You know.
Right. With the Afromentals, we talked about this at the beginning of the interview. Of course, the visual aspect is a big part of those Afromental mixtapes. When you approach a graphic designer for your mixtape, and you come up with the concept, okay, this is Afromentals 27 or whatever the case may be. Do you let the artist just do whatever? Do you give them direction? Is it a collaborative effort? How do you come up with these amazing mixtape covers for your mixtapes?
So part of it is leverage. It's like, okay, right now I have someone that I want to collab with because I don't want to pay them for the cover.
Mm-hmm.
My budget's tight. I don't want to pay $150 for a cover. So I'd be like, hey, you already have something. Tell me what it is, and let's work it out. And then what I'll do is I'll do something that will basically, you be the sponsor of the mix. I do the mix, you do the art.
Mm.
So it's basically collaboration, which is basically the fundamentals of this whole Afromentals thing. It's like, everything that I do, it's all based in like metaphysics, all of it. It's all physics.
Right.
If you just do something that is, it's always about moving forward. It's always about this movement. And if I know I can make something that, hey, this is going to also not benefit, if it benefits me and it benefits this other person, then that means yes.
Mm.
So I always do something that if it benefits not just me, the other person, exactly, it's because this person's going to go out here and brag about how hot this mix is. And then what are people going to do? Then I'm going to get more business.
Exactly.
So a lot of times, because I follow a lot of these gurus, that are good with money and about how to be rich and stuff like that. Like David Kiyosaki, the main thing he says, like, you don't work for money. Well, you work for money. Because I remember this situation where this one producer, I'm not going to say his name, he went to this other producer that was bigger. He wanted to basically pay him out $5,000 for a track, but he was going to basically put he was going to get the royalties.
Mm.
So he bought the song, the track for $5,000, and this is a well-known song. Then this dude's making mechanical royalties ongoing. There's no telling how much the dude made. The dude probably made hundreds of thousands of dollars where he paid this dude $5,000. So when we work for money, you sell yourself short is because your short-sightedness is kind of like how you're going to get jerked all the time. Whereas you're only going to be able to see this stuff 2020 and after it's happened already. So what I've learned over time is like, do things that feel good to you and you will do it for free. And you'll always have opportunities, always, no matter what. Now, it doesn't mean do stuff like you said, like, I'm not going to do it where it's compromising, like, nah, I don't believe in this.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't align with my values. It should align with your values and it should make you feel good. Because if it makes you feel good, that is going to exponentially, like, increase the amount of people that start to follow you. Because if you make them feel good, now look at all this new business you just got, So that's basically a lot of times how I approach mixtapes. I will work with a particular artist. That's why you'll see me work with a particular artist like Goldie.
Mm-hmm.
I did a lot of stuff with him is because he would already be having these concepts. He's sending me the content before the mix even starts. He's like, what do you think about it? Oh man, I love this. So collaboration is really good. It's an alignment in a relationship where it's like, man, you just feel good working with people. It shouldn't be forced. Money shouldn't be the motivation. You should be able to monetize things. So you should be able to do business for people. It is important. But if your intention first to make money first, then that's not going to go over well. It's because people make poor choices when it comes to think about money first. And they don't think about what's going to come bite them back in the ass. You know what I mean? Where it's like, now y'all broke up over $5.
Hmm.
People broke and break up over $20, man. Oh, it's the principal, like, because a person don't feel like they can trust you.
Right.
Yeah, so it's just like you gotta really build trust. It's very important with your relationships with the other artists in the community that you're building with. Um, there should be some loyalty. You should be able to show a person like, hey, it ain't just about the money. I actually care about you and what you do, and I want you to also be successful. That's very important when you build. So anyone that you see me collaborating with, there is that alignment there.
No doubt. Definitely some gems being dropped in this interview by Jamad. So, to everybody that's coming in here right now, we're live with DJ Jamad, ATL Afromentals. If you have any questions for Jamad, just let them off in the comments. We actually have a couple questions from a couple of people right now. Shout out to DJ Princess Cut, first DJ I ever opened up for when I started DJing. She wants to know, Jamad, do you have a ring light or is that sunshine? What's that? What's that natural light? Is that natural light or is that a ring light?
It's natural light. It's
Yeah,
natural.
of course. He's a natural brother, so he's gonna have natural sunlight. He's not gonna use no ring light. Shout out to DJ Princess Cut. And for Vanessa, we have, where do you see the future of DJing in the next year, next 5 years, and how do you think this pandemic will impact you as well as other DJs?
What I see now is, I think it's pretty interesting, is because I'm like, once Kerosene told me to go live, and it's like, I was nervous at first. But then I started to see, like, wow, it's like, I remember DJing in clubs and nobody even tipped me. You know what I mean?
Right.
So if you really start to see it to where it's like, wow, it's more than just the DJing. Because he's like, hey, you got to engage, you ain't got to engage. It's like, I'm not the clue DJ, yelling out and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, I got to find a way to just be myself and relate to people. So what I see happening is that the way the world's working, the new world order, whatever you want to call it, is that you just need to be authentic, be yourself. Because one thing I know about a lot of the new DJs, whether they're using controllers or whatever, their playlist is crazy.
Mm.
Including you. It's like when I was listening to the Devin the Dude, I'm like, wow, man. I'm like, you were educating me. So a lot of it, I think, where things are moving is that if you're not having to do stuff just for money and you're doing things where people can actually learn from you, it's really just good to express yourself, because that's really what DJing is. You're expressing yourself and how you play other people's music. You can do remixes and all kinds. It's you expressing. Where I see the future though is like Mixcloud. If they set up the streaming, is because you have things now where a lot of companies you can get paid to do your subscription through Mixcloud. Right. So now all you have to do is produce content. They'll find ways to monetize it, and people get the royalties and stuff like that. But the main thing is you have people that are paying for you. The subscribers are paying for you is because they want to see you. So it is going to be very important for people to overcome your fears. Stop worrying about being the best. You don't have to be Jazzy Jeff. You don't have to be DJ Scratch. You don't have to be the best. You just need to continue learning and keep it expanding and grow. And then, you just keep upgrading. You got to learn the business side of things. Learn about how you can do the streaming and improve your sound, with the iRig and all these different things. If you have to do like OBS, when you do the videos and all that stuff.
Right.
You got to just start learning stuff that you need to help you improve, so your follow, your people that support you, it'll grow and expand. Because when they're growing, you're gonna grow with them. You grow with them.
I agree with that. With this whole, quarantine and everything like that, and prior to this, a lot of the times as DJs to connect live with our fans or supporters, we had to be in a club. There always had to be a middleman, whether it be a club, a promoter, a bar, restaurant, whatever, there always was that barrier between us and the people.
Yes.
And a lot of, especially with you, with your mixtape series, your mixtapes have gone all over the world. Everybody can't come to Atlanta and pull up at the L Bar or wherever to watch you spin or hear you spin live, but with IG Live and whether it be Mixcloud Live coming up or whatever the case may be, you're able to interact with these people in real time. And I think that's the main thing that's really crucial for a lot of DJs to realize. Like, what are you doing with your fan base? You have 5,000 followers, 10,000, 20,000, 100,000. What are you doing to connect with these with your fans, with your supporters? What are you using to leverage this time right now in order to produce content, sell merch? You have amazing T-shirts that you sell and everything with your logo and sayings and whatever the case may be on it. Take this time to figure that out instead of just hopping on live without a purpose. Define what your purpose is and execute it and figure out, okay, that didn't work. Let me try this, or let me remix this, or figure out a different way. Because right now, sky's the limit. There's no, oh, I'm not getting booked, or, people didn't show up because it was raining or whatever the case may be. There's no excuse now. It's really all on you. And if you ever get a chance, if you're new in here, if you haven't seen Jamad live, he does some great mixes, especially on Sunday mornings. Just put them up, clean up the house, cook some breakfast, whatever the case may be. It's a real chill, relax. It's like watching Afromentals being mixed live right there on your phone, or if you project it or whatever the case may be. If you're just not coming in the room, we are right here live with DJ Jamad, ATL Afromentals. If you have any questions, thank you for that last question, Vanessa and DJ Princess Cut. If you have any questions, get in the comments right now while we still have Jamad here. So we talked about, Afromentals. We also touched on the Affiliates, so DJ Drama. So, the Affiliates was a big mixtape collective, DJ collective based out of Atlanta with DJ Drama, Don Cannon, Trendsetter Sense, JC, Ox Banger, a lot of DJs. I call it the light skinned DJ collective. Every nigga that was in there was light skinned for some reason. Yeah. But they have a real street reputation as far as their mixtapes. How did you fit in with the Affiliates?
I think the way I fit in with them, it was because I didn't really do any collaboration with them other than that one Cornerstone mix. Okay. All the DJs collaborated on that. We all sent in a part of the mix to kind of build it up. But I was pretty much, honestly, still like a loner. I was a loner within that circle. The person I knew the most was Janice. She was the manager, acting manager at the time before, I forget his name. But the one that Biggle, no, not Biggle. What was Lil Jon's label?
BME? Or TBT?
I forget. But I forget his name. Orlando? I think it might have been Orlando. But the thing is, I was faithful to her is because one thing that I know is with working with a bunch of males, you need female energy. You need balance. And to me, whenever I work anywhere, I need to know the ratio of males and females or the feminine, masculine energy. It needs to be balanced. Because when you got too many women, it's like then the egos are flaring up, stuff like that. There's got to be some kind of balance there with the energy. So that's the only thing that I didn't like. I love all the brothers, but I think what I gained from that experience is like, well, there's got to be balance there. And that was the thing where it's like I was the independent guy, the underground, whatever guy, and then everyone else was like the mainstream and dealing more with kind of like, more of the commercial stuff. So, but I was okay with that. It's because that's how it was anyway. I was always like that, so it didn't matter. But the whole opportunity was such a great opportunity because Drama helped me get on Sirius. He got my foot in the door. And that's why I feel like with anyone does anything when it comes to a group, like you should do it from the standpoint of how is it going to leverage you in improving what you do, you know. That's the only reason you go to work is because you're going in to learn. You're really not going there to make a lot of money. I mean, you're not going to make a lot of money at Starbucks. If you want to say you're into coffee, you should go work at a place where they sell coffee. If you want to somehow get into that business, you should go there and learn and see how it works. I feel like that's what everything is all about, learning. So when I did Sirius, they helped me to learn how the internet, you know, the satellite radio works. It helped me understand how radio works, period. Because I knew people that did BDS. I basically knew how my stuff was being broadcasted. I started, you know, receiving fan mail from all over the world. So I always tell anyone, whenever an opportunity comes, you should always use it as some type of leveraging thing that helps, you know, you grow, expand. It's always about learning. So that's one of the definitely like the best experiences I ever had, because, you know, we get in a VIP, going in, you know, meeting all these celebrities. I'm meeting celebrities, they're over in the studio. It's just like, but a lot of how I am as a person, I don't hang out. So I don't care about celebrities. I don't care who you are. Maybe Prince. If I would have seen Prince, maybe that would have been the only time I'd probably be a little bit of a fanboy. But outside of that, I DJ with all the celebrity DJs. So, right. Hey, what's up, man? What's going on? So when you get to know them in person, they're not like what you think they are. They're like nerdy, you know what I mean? They're just regular people, just like me. So I'm like, but I've never been a kind of like a star kind of struck type person. I like to learn and meet people. It's like when I met Dick Gregory, it's just like, man, this is Dick Gregory. This is amazing opportunity. So to me, I'm always humble, and I'm like, man, I'm just grateful to meet whoever it is, really.
Right.
So that's just what I maintain all the way around as a person, pretty much.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, you know, I always personally just wanted to know how you fit in with them, or, you know, how that came about. Shout out to Janice too. Janice was a great, you know, person in this industry.
Just not to do that thing, man. I don't fit into nothing.
Right.
I really never do. I never will.
Yeah, well, you know, some people are meant to follow, some people are meant to lead, and, you know, some people can do both. But, you know, it definitely led to Sirius XM, you know, the Sunday night show, which I definitely thank you for bringing me on satellite radio for the first time. I did a couple guest sets on them when I was like 19, 20 years old and everything like that.
How old are you now?
I'm 31 now.
Wow.
Yeah, long time, man. Yeah, this is my OG right here. We're live with DJ Jamad right now. Before we wrap up, we have another question from Vanessa. She said, while we continue to adapt to this new lifestyle from this pandemic, what advice would you share with new talent who have not yet reached their peak in their DJ career?
I don't know if there's any, well, let me think about that.
Because right now with the pandemic, yes, you know, say like you are a DJ on the come up and, you know, or trying to come up, but, you know, there's really no way to make a name for yourself. Everything's closed.
I'll tell you a story about why I feel like I've lost myself. Okay. All right. With that question. The reason why I lost myself, no matter whether it was relationships, when I lost my house, the house we used to always barbecue at and all my records are everywhere.
Yeah.
It's because I started believing what people were telling me. You're the shit. This is all this. Okay. The best thing you can ever do as an artist is to stay centered on what your vision is and always be open, stay open to growing. Is because you're not gonna know the future like that. You're not gonna know when your climax is. Because now I feel like I'm the second coming now. So don't think of it like you're going to be like become this star, is because that's not what it is. Because you have to stay in this presence when things are happening. And that's what creates the future. So you don't, there's actually always going to be like these ups and downs and climaxes always. It's like constant, like waves. You know what I mean? you just have to stay in the moment and know that whatever you're doing, I'd say focus on your branding. Do good business when it comes to people. Don't make promises. And now this is one thing that I have probably still work on to this day. Don't say things that you're going to do and don't do it.
Right.
So I would always tell people, hey, follow the codes of concept when it comes to doing good business with people. If you promise somebody, you give somebody your word, follow up on it. If you fall short or you don't do it, then make sure they know. Keep that communication and follow up with them. Say, hey, if you got to give them your money back, give the money back, whatever you got to do. Hey, how can I make this right? That's what I would say when it comes to in this world when you're having to adapt is always do good business with family, friends, professional, no matter what. And then everything is going to just be like work on yourself, stay in the moment. And then just when things come to you, just be in the moment because you're not going to be able to recognize when something happens till it's 2020. Like when I'm doing live and then all these people are telling me and I'm sitting there in the bed after I'm like, okay, I'm worn out. I just DJed 4 hours. And then I sit there in the bed and then I just review what just happened. I'm like a lot of these people are telling me about, they've been listening to me for 20 years. I'm like, and then I'm just sitting in the bed thinking about it. I'm like, 20 years? Like what, all that time has gone by? So I've been doing this for that long. So a lot of times all I do at that moment is like, thank you.
Mm.
So really any artist, do what you do, take it serious, take yourself serious. Not too serious is where you're stressing out, but really make sure you prepare yourself for whatever is to come. Is because if you stay prepared all the time, you're ready for anything. You know what I mean? So one thing I've learned is like when I have my music ready before I go live, say the Instagram gets cut off or my computer dies or something, it don't matter. I just, hey y'all, it's like have a little technical difficulty, blah, blah, I got to restart my computer. So then I'll just talk to people.
Yeah.
They don't really know that there's something wrong. It's just, they just want to interact with you. So, and that's what is genuine about this whole experience of life. It's an experiment. The whole COVID-19, it's an experiment, all of it.
Mm.
None of us know what's going to happen. So I would say that to anybody that's a creator, whatever you do, stay in the moment and make sure you check yourself like, man, I feel good. If you can hold that frequency of feeling good, no matter what it is you're doing, whether you're cleaning up dog shit, you're going to the grocery store, you're standing in line 6 feet apart from each other, but if you in your mind, you're still feeling good, that's what matters in life. Because that's where I got to where I am now. I fell because I started believing that the hype, that I was the shit. I wasn't the shit. Because I got caught up in the whole whatever people thought I was, the celebrity. I wasn't. I was still the dude that was local, or nobody calling me because they think I'm touring around the world. And they thought it was like, yo, you think I'm touring around the world, but my ass ain't got no job.
That's true right there because, you know, a lot of the times people perceive you as what they think you are. You know, oh, this is DJ Jamad or this is DiBiase's touring, you know, he's not going to take the gig or he's not going to do this or whatever the case may be.
Living up to that. Yeah, I started living up to that, what people said I was, but then I went into the deep depression.
Mm.
Deep depression. Now, I'm really not prone to like drug abuse, but I started eating wrong. I started eating a bunch of junk food. I don't really drink, smoke like that, so I didn't have to worry about that. But I was in a dark place. I was just like, but what it showed me is like, you know, I did a lot of self-help. I listened to Conversation with the Devil. No, it's an interview with the devil, Conversation with God. Those are like a long ass audiobooks, man. I listened to them shits twice on one weekend, just like laying down like deep depression. Then I listened to The Power Now. That was like 9 hours. I played that twice. And then I started getting back to my roots. Start going up Stone Mountain. Start working out. Start eating right. Start volunteering. I got back to my own formula of what I did. I started doing Soulful Sundays at Moods. And the best thing you can do is help someone else that's less fortunate. I started mentoring Julian Virgin. I mentored him. I started helping him, showing whatever you need, however I can help you, I'm going to help you because nobody helped me. I'm going to help you wherever someone can help me. I'm going to help you. So now when I do that, I always do it. If I have free time, I always schedule my time in my day. I know someone doesn't have a car, like my mother-in-law or a friend. I know they need to go somewhere. I keep myself active and leaving the house. I don't like this picture with Jay Dilla. This is a reminder of me having balance, because this is when he had leukemia, right?
Lupus.
This is when he was going through his radiation therapy. The dude looks less than 100 pounds right here. But what is important is that you can't just be like, go hard, grind. The things that inspire me is service to others, communication with others. I still like to talk to people on the phone. I don't like texting.
Right, me too.
So this is great. When my friends check on me and they call me up, like when Kerosene called me, because Kerosene don't answer the phone. He ain't gonna talk to you long. But when he called me, I'm happy. You're like, he don't know that. I never told him this. Yeah. When Cognito called me, I'm happy. Because I'm old school. I grew up like communicating. So don't lose your just fundamentals of just effective communicating, community, giving, service to others whenever you can. If you know you got something, man, you can just give it away. Don't try to sell $40, $50. Man, just give it to them, man. Just gift it. Give. And then next thing you know, you start just receiving stuff, man. Stuff just going to start coming to you. Like somebody sent me $100 of cash out the other day out of nowhere. And the reason why is because I post her stuff over for the last 3 years. I've been posting her stuff on Instagram. And she just sent me $100 out of the blue. That whole thing with DJ Envy and all that, that was just because I always looked out for that person. She recommended me. It's because I'm always looking out for her. Just look out for people. Look out for your people. Your people. They don't always have to be your family, your blood relatives. Because a lot of them not looking out for you. But look out for people that you know look out for you. Look out for them. Check on them. And I think that's a good way to be in the world. I think that's where the world really is moving, is that you want to create, your tribe, your circle of people that where people do good business. You can trust them. Like, oh, I know so-and-so is going to handle this. And if something happens, they still are going to make it right. You know what I mean? That's how I like to look at stuff.
This has been a really, really great conversation. I don't want to call it an interview. It's been a great conversation. And, this is a new format that I'm doing with the Instagram Live. I usually have, somebody here in the crib and do a proper film and micing them up and everything. But, with everything that's going on, like I said, we have such a negative feeling about this whole COVID stuff, but a lot of beautiful, great stuff is coming out of this, and including this interview right here. So, if you came in the middle of the interview or you missed it, this full interview will be on our YouTube page, the No Request TV YouTube page. Just after this interview is done, just go to the link in the No Request TV bio, subscribe to the YouTube. I'm building up the catalog. We have a lot of great interviews there with Rich Medina, a lot of Gorilla Tech, a Miami legend, and now we're going to have this interview with DJ Jamad too as well. So before we go, Jamad, let people know when you're going to be spinning next on IG Live so they can get a taste of your musical sensibility and any shout outs that you have as we end up in here in a minute.
I'm going to be DJing tonight at 10 o'clock on Jamad 710. And I definitely want to give a shout out to all the people that don't know me and do know me. DJ Malik, Kerosene, Trackstar, of course, you, DiBiase, Harold for cutting my hair the other day. My Delta, Jewel, all the people that are on here, the Princess Cut, all the people that I've built with over years. I'm going to continue to be here and do what I can to my last breath. And I appreciate all your support. It's really humbling to just be with someone, a young warrior as yourself, man, creating your own brands for all vinyl, everything, and doing the stuff with the brunch. And even you leaving town and still doing your thing with something like this, man, I really commend you, man. This is great. I do, man. I really do.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that coming from you. You know, you're definitely one of my OGs in the DJ game and the life game too as well. You know, we spent